of all the storylines in an NFL season, there's the number one storyline involves the defending Super Bowl champions and whether they can repeat. Mm-hmm. And that always leads to the conversation. We, as a matter of fact, had it on the 3-hour program last night on NFL Network. And the subject matter, as always, who is the biggest threat to the defending Super Bowl champs? And what is the biggest threat standing in their way for a three-peat or a two-peat, which is the normal thing, and last year being the three-peat? And so the question involving the Philadelphia Eagles is, who is standing in their way of repeating? Now, sometimes you sit there and go, well, they lost too many players on their roster, and they did lose some players in free agency, but nobody that I think is going to shake the foundations of this team, clearly. Last time they won it all, the biggest threat to their repeating, as we all know, was the quarterback position, all right? And they did, in fact, have a shot to repeat with Foles, and then lost in the playoffs. So, as it turned out, they had a real good shot to repeat that year. The last time they made the Super Bowl, their biggest threat to making it back was they lost both coordinators. This time around, they've lost their offensive coordinator. He's now the head coach of the New Orleans Saints. So, is that the biggest threat? And then you look at other teams. The Washington Commanders got better. The Rams were the team that came closest to beating the Eagles in the playoffs last year. They got better. We're assuming it is based on the results we've seen from Cooper Kupp the last couple of years in terms of availability and production on the field, that Davante Adams is an upgrade for Matthew Stafford, who was on last night's schedule release show and singing the praises of Davante Adams. We'll talk about how he's still in touch with Cooper Kupp, and he can't wait to see him, as he will see him twice this year for Seattle. Again, John Schneider will be joining us later on the program, the GM who brought him to the Pacific Northwest. But the point is, there's really nothing that's just screaming at you in the face right now that says, huge impediment. They drafted well. They paid some of their stars for their 2024 season. Everybody appears to be healthy. So here's the biggest threat. And we found out about it last night. It's the schedule. The Philadelphia Eagles will face 7 of the top 10 scoring offenses from last season. They will face 6 of the top 7 scoring defenses from last season. They have 11 games against 2024 playoff teams. Now, we knew that they were going to play these teams all along. And we knew that of the 11 playoff teams that they would be facing this season from last season, every single team that they saw in the playoffs last year are one of those playoff teams that they're seeing. They're seeing every single one of them. And you could sit here and go, well, Rich, what does that matter? Because they dominated everybody but the Rams, but got past them because they were so dominant that the Rams couldn't dig out of the hole that they dug, or the snow drift that they were running into while Saquon was running past them. You could say that.
That'd be a valid point.
But now you see, though, the order of things. And of the teams that they faced in last year's playoffs, they see 2 of them in the first 3 weeks. And the one in the first 3 weeks that didn't make the playoffs are the Dallas Cowboys, who one must assume are going to be better. They're starting with Dallas at home, then they're at Arrowhead, then they come back home for the Rams, then they're at Tampa, which beat them last year. And I understand the first month of the season was a different Philadelphia Eagles team. We can all stipulate that, but they have trouble winning in Tampa. As we know, that's when Jason Kelce strolled off his football career field for the last time and went to ESPN. Then they're home for Denver. That's a tough first 5. They're Playing the Giants on a short week Thursday night. We'll see about them, Apples. At Minnesota before they face the Giants again, and there's a bye. A Monday night at Green Bay. A Sunday night home against Detroit. Then at Dallas. The Black Friday game against Chicago after Thanksgiving. A Monday night game out here in Los Angeles. Raiders at home. We have no idea who the Raiders are going to be this year. We're assuming they're going to be better. And then their last three. They don't play Washington until their final 3 games of the season. They play them twice wrapped around a visit at Buffalo.
That is not easy.
Now, we knew they were going to play these teams. Mm-hmm. We knew it. You know, as soon as the season's over, who they're going to play. When the regular season's over, when you know who's first, second, third, and fourth, you know exactly who's on your schedule and where you're going to play them. The minute the season is over, and after they found out that information, they boat raced the league on the way to the winner's podium, with the exception against the Rams again at home in the snow in the divisional round, but they still got past them. Now we know the order of events. My goodness. They could still do it. I'm not saying they're not. What I'm saying is the biggest threat to the repeat is that schedule. One unfortunate injury for a month could cost them a playoff positioning. That could cost them in the playoffs. But we shall see. Schedule's out. Eagles are probably looking at that going, well, at least we got to buy when we like it. And you got to play them when you play them. And we're going to be home for some big ones. And this is going to be fun. Yep. I'm sure that's the way they're approaching it. But right now, wow. Those first 5 is a big wow. And those last 3 were, I saw that. I'm like, oh my goodness. That is something else. And that's half their schedule. Yep. Catch the Rich Eisen Show live weekdays from 12 to 3 p.m. Eastern on Roku Sports Channel in the U.S.